What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other day I actually saw a post over on Reddit, kind of deep diving into a brand new mode that some people, are kind of thinking about when it comes to Battlefield 6. And I gotta be real with you guys. I think this is absolutely genius. Of course, the original poster has a little bit of a different concept, but just the idea that they went ahead and presented, I was able to do a little bit of brainstorming, and seriously, I think that indeed this is very smart. But this is by Aggravating Space 5854 over on Reddit, and they said Battlefield needs a persistent war mode, not battle royale. Now, don't get me wrong. As I stated many times before, I don't mind Battlefield having a battle royale. As long as they hyper prioritize what Battlefield's all about, the gameplay is good, it's nice and polished, multiplayer's getting plenty of content, and all the content revolves around conquest and breakthrough. You know what Battlefield is all about, and it works and it functions. I'm A-okay if they branch out and try a battle royale experience. If it succeeds, that's great. If it doesn't, it is what it is. At least the base game is still good on its own. But this is actually pretty smart. I mean, why have a battle royale within Battlefield when you can actually have a mode that is about what, Battlefield is all about? War. Now, Aggravating Space had a little bit of a different concept, and again, I'm going to kind of summarize it, and you guys can tell me if you like this down in the comment section. But Aggravating Space kind of, hinted at something like Helldivers, for example, where everybody is on a similar team. Basically it's PvE experience. You hop into the overall world. We're all trying to fight to take over certain sections of, the map, or whether you're in the USA or whatever the heck the case is. And you have these persistent war modes, and I guess they go on for a certain period of time, and then they switch it up and change out the locations of where you have to go. Goes on for a certain period of time. Once again, switch it up. And as I stated, it kind of works like Helldivers, where you get a squad together, you guys drop into a PvE environment. You got to go ahead and verse a ton of different AI, whether it's jets, tanks, actual troops, with different missions that you guys have to work around the map to go ahead and complete to get a better score for the overall PvE experience. And the more you win the overall war. You guys will have a visual map showcasing what's going on, how everybody is fighting. Basically, as I just said, exactly like Helldivers 2. Honestly, I think that is a fantastic idea, but personally, you guys know me. I like my PvP experiences, and although I think a lot of people in the Battlefield community would like this PvE pitch, I think I have a little something different. I'm thinking more so on the terms of something like MAG, for example. For those who don't remember MAG, it was back on the PS3 days where you can have like 250 plus players in a singular lobby. And I said this before, and I'm going to say it again. It still blows my mind that back on PS3 we were able to obtain those player counts, and nowadays it's almost impossible. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if devs are getting lazier or they just don't want to, put in that hard of work. But it's kind of wild that a PS3 could run more players on really detailed maps as well. Of course, there was no destruction on MAG, but it was still pretty detailed and really awesome to go ahead and witness. Basically, anyone who went ahead and experienced that overall game, I don't think I heard many people actually hate it. Typically, everybody loves it. But that's what I'm thinking of right there. Basically, we all hop into the overall Battlefield experience, and we can go into Conquest, we can go into Breakthrough, we do our own thing. But we can have sort of like an Operations style mode, if that makes any sense, from Battlefield 1. For those who don't remember Operations, basically Operations was a longer form of Breakthrough. So you have, two objectives, and you have an attacking team and a defensive team, and it's the same overall concept. Attacking team has to capture both objectives. You move forward, capture a couple more, move forward. But it's in a story format. So in Battlefield 1, when you played Operations, there was like, 2, 3, maybe 4 maps in a rotation for each operation that you would play. And if you win, you progress. So you win again, you progress more. Or if you lose, you still progress. And you keep going and going and going throughout this mini story of an overall battle. And these games go forever. I mean, sometimes an hour plus it will take to finish an overall Operations match. But it was awesome. You felt like you were a part of an overall battle, a big war. And I think that was a genius idea. But imagine that concept, but now, again, like I said, it's magnified. So you go into this overall experience. There's an overall war going on right now between NATO and PAX, and you pick the team that you want to fight for, whether you want to be on NATO or you want to be on PAX. And basically, both teams will be competing for getting higher scores, and maybe by the end of this overall situation, people get certain rewards for completing certain things under their faction. But the overall idea here is to have a massive game mode that kind of brings everybody together for an overall united experience. And this game mode would be live no matter what. So it's not something you just start up like Operations in Battlefield 1, where you play, one set of maps for an hour, and that's it. Who wins, wins, and who loses, loses. No, this is a game mode that might be live for a week, maybe even a month. where it's a constant ongoing war where you have to participate. And again, you don't have to participate. You can hop in, you can pick a faction, and then go about your business and keep playing Conquest, or keep playing Breakthrough, or keep playing Rush, whatever you want. But when you're in the mood for that operation style of gameplay, hopping in and having a match that might last a whole hour plus, so on and so forth, that will be the game mode that you can go ahead and play. And there will be an overall live map, just like how it is in Helldivers 2. And, just like how the original poster was talking about how they wanted it to be Helldiver-ified within Battlefield 6. Same concept, but PvP style. So you can see the overall map, you can see what team is winning what, who has more control over what. And, I think personally that will encourage players to want to hop in and grind even harder than ever to win the overall competition. And the way that it worked in MAG, I think would be pretty cool for an operation style of game mode for Battlefield 6. It might not be popular. And again, I'm going to throw this out there, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section below. I'm sure there's going to be some people who are just feisty and saying you're a moron for thinking of this. But still, like I said, it's just an opinion. And I'm more than positive this game mode probably won't be coming into Battlefield 6. I'm just speculating and, throwing out some cool ideas and concepts that will be really awesome to see within the Battlefield experience. But the way it worked in MAG is that when you picked a faction, you were locked to cosmetics, vehicle types, weapon types, so on and so forth. You couldn't have free roam of everything that was available within the game. And you would go ahead, you would level up completely within MAG. And when you leveled up completely, you could reset, basically like a prestige, and then you could pick a different faction if you wanted to, or pick the same faction, but a lot of people picked a different faction so they could try out different guns and do different things. I think that would work nicely in Battlefield 6. It didn't work nicely in MAG, I'll say that. As much as I like MAG, I think that was a horrible concept because it made a lot of people pick, one faction and one faction only because they had all the OP stuff. But in Battlefield, I don't think it will be bad because you have a base experience and you have the operations experience. In MAG, you didn't have one or the other. You had the one single MAG experience. But in here, if you don't want to deal with locked weapons and stuff of that sorts per faction, just go into the regular matchmaking. Again, Breakthrough, Conquest, Rush, all of the game modes that they have available, King of the Hill, TDM, whatever you're feeling, you can go in there, play with the weapons that you want to play with. Factions aren't locked to anything. You're just playing the overall game. But within this operations mode, this war mode, when you pick either NATO or PAX, each one of these factions should have, set weapons, set cosmetics, set everything. And I think it will just add more to the vibe of, the faction that you are personally fighting for. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this might be kind of a bad idea of a game mode to put into Battlefield, but I think that'll be really awesome. We already had operations in Battlefield 1, but this would just be operations kind of on crack, turned up a little bit. And it's sad to see that DICE kind of let that game mode kind of die away. It was really awesome. And to see that within the modern day setting of Battlefield 6 would have been really cool. And honestly, the potential is completely missed here because we have so many different maps. Like, we have a bunch of Cali maps coming into the rotation. Imagine fighting on, different sections of Cali, and whether you're attacking or defending, and you have to go through multiple different stages. Or we have a bunch of New York maps. We have Manhattan Bridge, we have Empire State, all of these maps within the Battlefield 6 experience. Imagine, starting off in one location and then fighting through the frickin' city of New York, going from point A to point B to point C through multiple different maps over the course of like an hour plus. I don't know. I think that would have fit Battlefield 6 so nicely. And then again, on top of that, having, to pick a faction to fight for would add that extra oomph, pick a side, pick a team to represent. And it will add some more competition to the overall atmosphere of Battlefield 6. But for me personally, I think that would have done great compared to a Battle Royale experience. Because Battle Royale, I feel like it's going to be 50-50 right here, ladies and gentlemen. It's either going to do phenomenal or it's going to completely flop for Battlefield. I don't think there's going to be any in-betweens. And I think that a war mode that is similar to Operations would have been a guaranteed, W for everybody across the board. Everybody's buying into Battlefield. Truthfully, really enjoyed the Operations experience. I think that a lot more people have hopped into that over a Battle Royale game mode. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, go down in the comment section and let me know what you guys think about this overall video. Do you think it's a good idea to dump Battle Royale, in replace of a war game mode that would kind of imitate Operations? Or do you think that, Battle Royale is great for Battlefield 6 and it could actually help this franchise thrive a lot more than it already is when it comes down to the hype that Battlefield 6 has been generating? But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget subscribing to that bell. I post here daily at 8 morning Eastern Time. And we also double upload at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Everything between Battlefield, COD, Splitgate 2, Arc Raiders, Gears of War, pretty much anything that sparks my interest, I'll go ahead and discuss on this channel, whether it's content related, update related, so on and so forth. So as always, subscribe and hit that bell so you stay notified on everything that goes live on this channel. And last but not least, if you guys want to catch any of my live streams, I stream Monday through Saturday over on Twitch starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Of course, if you guys are interested, I'll link that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.